Views and likes, we run it up. Subscribe to the boys and turn it up. It's your favorite podcast, turn it up. The Run going live, we done it up. If you like sports, we got it. You see the game winner, who shot it? Score a touchdown in the last second. We gon' talk about it in the next second. We gon' talk about all the sports you like. We live at 7 on a Thursday night. Come home from work and grab a bite. Then listen to the fellas talk about the fight. We got Sean Griffin, Mason Kills. Can't forget about the boy Lazarus Shea. We talking NBA and Major League. You know we gotta talk about the NFL. AJ Nash, did you see that pass? We ducking so hard they were breaking the glass. To run the best podcast y'all done heard. Let's tell everybody here to spread the word. So kick back and we rest your nerve. We give you everything sports fans deserve. Guys tell your girls, girls tell your dude. We on Instagram and we on YouTube. Views and likes, we run it up. Subscribe to the boys and turn it up. It's your favorite podcast, turn it up. The Run going live, we done it up. If you like sports, we got it. You see the game winner, who shot it? Score a touchdown in the last second. We gon' talk about it in the next segment.
Hold on 1 second. Bear with me, coach.
we run it up. Subscribe to the boys and turn it up. It's your favorite podcast, turn it up. The Run going live, we done it up. If you like sports, we got it. You see the game winner, who shot it? Score a touchdown in the last second. We gon' talk about it in the next segment. We gon' talk about all the sports you like. We live at 7 on a Thursday night. Come home from work and grab a bite. Then listen to the fellas talk about the fight. We got Sean Griffin, Mason Kills. Can't forget about the boy Lazo Shell. We talking NBA and Major League. You know we gotta talk about the NFL. AJ Nash, did you see that pass? We ducking so hard that we breaking the glass. To run the best podcast y'all done heard. Let's tell everybody, help spread the word. So kick back and we rest your nerve. We give you everything sports fans deserve. Guys tell your girls, girls tell your dude. We on Instagram and we on YouTube. Views and likes, we run it up. Subscribe to the boys and turn it up. It's your favorite podcast, turn it up. The Run going live, we done it up. If you like sports, we got it. You see the game winner, who shot it? Score a touchdown in the last second. We gon' talk about it in the next segment.
Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all already know what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the series premiere, and I mean the series premiere of the city's, well, we could say the world's most dangerous podcast, but definitely the city of Tallahassee most dangerous podcast. This is The Run. I'm your host, Mason Kilby, Mason One Jack on IG. For everybody that follows me on IG, that look to follow me on IG. We got Justin Rawson right there. That's my producer extraordinaire right there. He's joining us on the show. We got Lance Rochelle that's about to join us in the few, and we got Sean Griffin. Hey, listen, guys. I want you to have Sean Griffin and your thoughts and prayers. My guy Sean Griffin is getting ready to bring another one into this world. Anytime now, he's getting ready to have a newborn baby boy. So, hey, listen, I want y'all to say congratulations to Sean Griffin whenever you get a chance. He's getting ready to bring a new baby boy into this world. Hey, Sean, we thinking about you, baby. Hey, hold it down for us now. All right. So we got a big time show on tap for you guys today, right? You know, we're going to talk about a little bit of the Heisman frontrunners, the Heisman contender race. We're going to talk about a little bit of college football. We're about to talk about all that good stuff that you want to hear. But we got a very, very special guest on tap for the series premiere of The Run. Let me see if I can get this right. All right, the first guest to kick off the 2024 series premiere, the fall premiere of The Run, has been a fixture on the Tallahassee scene. Hey, my guy, track coach of the year, got it. In the community, doing big things in the community, doing it. School AD, yep. The 2023 Florida SB Live Football Coach of the Year, been there, done it. He is now the professor at the highest of 7 hills, Florida A&M University, yep, doing it. He is also a professor of School of Physical Education and Recreation, and also in just a FAMU College of Education. He is also a fixture and on the forefront of the Coaches Coalition here in Florida, trying to make change as far as the pay for Florida high school football coaches. We're gonna get in a little bit of that. But without further ado, y'all heard me talk about nauseum about this guy. He's twice my boss. Hey, I want you guys to give a big time welcome for Coach. Well, I call him Coach, Professor, AD, all that. Hey, y'all give y'all hands up for Tyrone McGriff. Coach, what's going on?
Nothing much. How's it going?
Oh, man, it's just a beautiful day, man. I've been meaning to get you on this show for quite a minute sometimes, so I'm just happy to get on the show, man. How everything going for you?
It's going pretty good, man. First of all, thank you all for having me. Lance, Sean, you, and Justin, your producer. Yes, thank you for having me. I always look forward to anything with you. Of course, I know your work ethic, so thank you.
I appreciate it, Coach. Man, listen, let's not even waste no time. Let's get right into it. So you're currently a professor at FAMU, but let's go on what's tapped for you and what's going on, your plans, especially for the ones that may haven't seen you since the spring back when you was coaching at the head man at Leon. So I just want you to let the viewers know what's going on with you right now as far as what's your plans and what you're doing over there at the highest of 7 hills.
Yeah, actually right now I am a instructor, a professor within the education, school education, health, physical education, recreation. We have fitness and leisure studies within our department. So I'm a professor there. I'm really excited to just bestow everything I've learned over my years in interscholastic athletics and physical education with this new batch of professionals, coaches, trainers, and just kind of get back to my roots as an AD. You know, as an AD, I was coaching the coaches and then kind of doing the same thing in this role, but coaching the next crop of coaches and trainers and physical educators.
Outstanding. So let me ask you this. Let's say you sitting in the living room of a 17-year-old that's really, considering going to FAMU. I want to know, what's your pitch as far as why to this young gentleman or this young lady should go to FAMU, the don at orange and green?
Oh man. Honestly, my pitch is based on what they are looking for. Honestly. Everybody's looking for a different experience. And I think FAMU offers so many different experiences within our education department. And we are home to some of the brightest minorities in the United States and in the world. And so with that being said, it's a different culture than what a lot of kids are used to. You're never going to be around, 10,000 plus African Americans that are highly educated, seeking a higher education and just looking to better their lives like this again. I mean, this is a very unique experience. FAMU is a lot like, when Black Panther came out, everybody was throwing up the X's like
Yes,
Wakanda
sir.
forever.
Yes, sir.
Well, FAMU is that. You're talking about STEM, some of the brightest people in the world, philosophers, soon to be doctors, and it's a different type of culture that a lot of people haven't experienced. I know Tallahassee is a college town. Everybody thinks party, 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 right?
Right.
But it's some very bright individuals up there on that campus. Some of the wisest people in America, and it's different. So we offer a lot of different things. From the social life, the social clubs, to the research and development that goes on in any university. And then now we're in a new campaign. We're trying to become an R1 institution, which is Research One, and our provost, Dr. Watson, has really been pushing that on our educators, making sure that we do our journaling and our publications and our research. So it's very unique, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Outstanding. So how do you feel about education today? So what's your pitch to that young lady or that young gentleman that feels like, they're kind of on the fence about going to school? They may want to go to a trade school. They may, as soon as it's coming out of high school, they may, instead of going to college, they will feel like, hey, I might as well, just go become an electrician or learn a trade and go to that route. So what do you tell to that person that may be on the fence? They may not sure if they really want to go to college, and maybe they want to go to trade school, or maybe they do want to go to college. So they're on that fence. So what do you tell that individual?
Honestly, do what's going to bring you the money and the happiness that you want in life. Whether it's trade school, vocational school, or going to college and going all the way up to your PhD or your medical doctors, your MD. It doesn't really matter as long as you have a plan. Right now, what we're seeing is a lot of I think after middle school, a lot of kids don't have a plan. So
Right.
we're going into high school, and one thing that we have to realize is whether you're going to vocational studies or going to higher education on the collegiate level, you have to have a plan starting in ninth grade. A lot of people don't. I think we lack that structure and that continuity to understand what we really want to do. So if you want to go in vocational studies, most of the school districts around the state offer some type of dual enrollment track with a vocational school. Like here in Tallahassee, it's a you can start taking classes at Lively, I believe after your sophomore year.
Right.
But a lot of kids don't take advantage of that because we just don't have a plan. don't have a structure, a formalized structure that's been provided to us. I think, to tell you the truth, a lot of the issue is that parents are allowing kids that are unknowing to choose their own track. But you can't choose a track that you don't know. So what I would tell anybody is develop a plan first. And if FAMU and specifically our college education is in that plan for you, um, I say see it through. And if vocational studies and being an electrician is in that plan, figure that out early. Just like, you can't get to your senior year in high school and say, "Oh, I want to go to college now." It's too late.
Yeah.
So you have to figure those things out early. So just develop a plan. A lot of us lack structure and lack planning. Fortunately for me, I had great parents and great grandparents that were in my ear that told me, "Hey, this is what you're gonna do," yeah, or asked me what I wanted to do, and then told me how to go about doing that. And I think a lot of kids are missing that now, because we are in a society that says, "Hey, do whatever you want." And you can do whatever you want, but it takes some planning.
Mhm.
It's not willy nilly wake up one day and I want to do this, and the next day I want to do this. You got to have a structure. And just because it gets difficult doesn't mean you give up on that structure. And we don't know God's plan, so you may choose one path and then the next day you're on another path, but you still follow some sort of plan.
So let's take it back to the beginning, right? So a lot of people don't realize that your dad is in the FAMU Hall of Fame. Like your
Yes,
dad was a big time athlete, big time football player at FAMU. And so when I say take it back to the beginning, you had your dad also played in the NFL. And so how was life for you growing up having a dad that actually played in the league? Because I mean, as young boys, a lot of us grow up to one day want to play in the NFL, but yet you had the blueprint and you had that I guess that segue or that person that can literally give you the blueprint in-house.
he didn't.
So okay, so
Uh,
talk to us about how it was having a
so
dad that did those things.
yeah, so my dad was more so focused on education. Um,
Okay.
and he really focused on the developmental process. Like, he made me run track. He held me out of football as long as he could, and I'm glad he did. I learned how to tackle playing sandlot football. I learned how to project my body and protect my head playing sandlot football. I
Okay.
didn't, I honestly, tell you the truth, I hate to say it in this way, but um, when I started playing organized football on a higher level, because of the lack of instruction that was geared around like protecting your head at that time,
Hmm.
that's when my concussions happened. So you know, coaches at that time were teaching guys to use their face mask, as with your face
Right.
mask, and leading with your head, putting your face mask in their chest, and so on and so forth. That's just not how the game is supposed to be played. You're not supposed to use your head as a battering ram. And I thank my dad for keeping me out as long as he could, because he knew that that was going to happen. So he kept me out as long as he could. He told me to play sandlot football. The only reason I played before I got to the ninth grade was he witnessed. So I was like the kid that, and you kind of you know me, you know my personality, but I was a
Yeah.
kid that, like, when I came across the street, everybody's like, "Game's over, take the ball, go home,"
Yeah.
because I played so reckless and I love hurting people, that it wasn't enjoyable for other people. So when he saw that one day and he saw me come home mad because the kids wouldn't play with me anymore, that's when he let me, play organized football. But he really focused on the education part. He focused on me getting stronger and faster my whole life. That was always the focus: just get stronger and faster, and everything else will come. So that's really, he just laid the foundation for the process and hard work more so than results. He really didn't care how good I was. He was a huge support. But I never really had conversations about how many tackles I had and all that stuff like that growing up. And we never even counted stats or anything like that. It was always just cracking jokes on if I got ran over or whatever. Like, that's what type of father he was. He was gonna let me know if I got ran over, and it sparked something in me to not want to be on the receiving end of those jokes, you know. Um, because those jokes were brutal. My sister is the same. Like,
Right.
man, like man, after losses, they're gonna let you have it. And it's like, it's not like in a malicious way, but it makes you, it just gives you that drive to like, okay, you can't come home after a loss. You can't. That's just what type of family I came from.
So, having your dad play NFL, did you meet any guys that you actually looked up to, or did you run into who all did you just ran into
all the time? My dad, like, so I tell you this story. So and he may be watching. I have a cousin, Charlie Ward is my cousin, and we were staying. My dad was coaching at Bethune-Cookman at that time. At that time, he was actually associate head coach at Bethune-Cookman, and my cousin Clyde, is either Clyde or Rodney. I can't remember who it was, but Clyde and Rodney Alderman are my cousins. They told my dad, hey, they were going to the game in Orlando when he was playing for the Knicks. So we went over there to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like, okay, so I just want to set this picture. I'm in second grade. So we go down there at the end of the game, and Shaq is walking by, Patrick Ewing. Like, it's so many like big time, Penny Hardaway. Like, it's so many. I don't know, was Penny there then? I can't remember, but it's so many big time players just walking by, and I'm like starstruck, right? I'm starstruck. So afterwards, my dad's like, "Hey, like, you can't act like that." You know what I mean? Like you can't act like that.
I remember you telling me the story.
Yeah, man. So all right. So moving forward, I get to the 5th grade, and Tony Dorsett, for the young guys, they may not know who Tony Dorsett was. Tony Dorsett was like the man at right. I mean, the echo. I don't know why. But Tony Dorsett was the man at running back. And he had a camp down in Palm Beach. So it was Tony Dorsett, Anthony Carter, I believe Larry Little maybe there. I can't remember. But it was a whole bunch of former NFL players. My dad was out there helping out. So he was like, he told me, he's like, "Hey, yo, so you can eat lunch with us or you can eat lunch with the campers." He said, "But if you ask for anybody's autograph, you're not eating lunch with us." So I was like, all right. So like, I'm back there trying to like compose myself around all these, former NFL players and current NFL players. But it taught me a life lesson about just people and never getting starstruck, never being never being in an environment where the environment is too big for you. So I appreciate him giving me those lessons. But we did watch a lot of football together. When he was coaching, watching like him critiquing recruiting film, doing all those things, I stayed at the field house a whole lot, especially when he was at Grambling. I was around those guys a whole lot. I was around the Cookman guys a whole lot. Coincidentally, I don't know if you saw my post the other day, Rod Reed, former head football coach at Tennessee State, his son, starting quarterback out at Texas A&M. We actually stayed together for a little bit when they were both coaching at Bethune-Cookman together at the same time. So it was just, it's just great to grow up in an industry that I'm currently working in now, and knowing people that I think everybody would die to know. So it was just great having access to those types of, I won't say like resources in terms of material resources, but intellectual resources. I had some great people around me to watch go through the sports industry.
That's great. That's great. So, so you're from South Florida.
Yeah.
And, you made your way to Tallahassee. You wound up going to Florida High, where you had your high school football career. So, going a little bit of details of, the move from South Florida to Tallahassee. How'd you get into Florida High and your playing career as a whole, as far as once you got to Florida High?
All right. So, yeah, this is actually a little known fact. I moved up here in May, my sophomore year, like the last month of the year, just for spring football, going into my junior year. And my grandma up here, they're like, my grandma and granddad, they're like diehard Rattlers. So they're like, "You going to FAMU High?" So like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm excited. I'm a FAMU fan. I'm excited. And I get to FAMU High, and it wasn't what I expected. Like, it just wasn't what I expected at that time. So when my mom moved up here that summer, I was like, I don't want it at that time. It's a whole lot better school now, but at that time, I did not want to go back. I was set on, I'm not going back. So my mom said, okay. So, and like I said, I was only there for a couple of weeks, so it wasn't a whole lot. But my mom said, okay, where do you want to go? So we start going down the list, and quite honestly, my mom was very like, my mom was not going to say what year she was born, but she was born in a time where segregation was still relevant and racism was more in your face. At that time, NFC had a very good football program. Ernie Sims was there, and they had a legacy at that time of dynasty. So I said, well, what about NFC? My mom was like, no. She was like, you're not going to NFC. She was like, when I was in school, I couldn't even go to NFC. African Americans weren't welcome at that time there. And I don't know how true or false that is, but I think that NFC is a what you call it. I think they said like a segregation school, which is those are private schools that opened up when integration schools. Sorry, those are private schools that opened up when integration took place, and so it was like a flight of middle class and upper class America to different schools to get away from integration. So my mom was like, you're not going there. So NFC was out the picture. I went and took a visit to Rickards. When I say visit, just like, not in the sense like, hey, full-fledged recruiting visit, but I went out there, and at that time, I think Coach Hendricks was the head coach. Got a good feel from him, but I wasn't in love with Rickards. Of course, I became my first friend that I made in Tallahassee was Roy Upchurch. I don't know if anybody remembers Roy Upchurch. So Roy went to Gobby, played at the University of Alabama.
Yeah, I was like, I know what Upchurch number 2. Was he number 2 or number 4 or something like that? Or 5? No, it was 5. He was 5.
Yeah. So
I remember him.
Yeah, Roy was like, come over to Gobby, but I wasn't really. I didn't know much about Gobby. So then I took a visit to Florida High, and I met Coach Mike Hickman. My guy. Yeah, man. And like honestly, after I met Coach Hickman, like walking out, I told my mom it had nothing. It had little to do with the school and everything to do with Coach Hickman. I was like, I want to go and come here. You know what I mean? Like Coach Hickman just had a personality that was very fatherly. I can't say like it wasn't that I was looking for a father. My grandfather was still alive. My grandfather was a big fixture in my life after my father died. But honestly, as a young male who had just lost his father, I needed positive people around me, and Coach Hickman was that. And I think because of the lessons I learned early in life, I was able to identify people that had genuine hearts and just meant overall well for me. So after that, I was like, I want to go to Florida High. I mean, that was like, I didn't take any. It wasn't because of the legacy. Florida High was coming off of a 0-10 season. I just liked Coach Hickman. I met at that time it was Trey Revel. My starting quarterback Trey was cool. Our running back Lionel Singleton was really cool. I met those two that day. Trey was kind of like Trey was like a country, like he was country kid, but had like a surfer mentality. Like everything was just all cool. And Trey ended up playing quarterback at ULM. He was about 6'5". And just an overall great quarterback. But it was just a very welcoming vibe, and I think that was one of the best decisions of my life to go to Florida High.
So you went from Florida High to FAMU, where you became a stud defensive end. We got a little video we want to play too, because it's better just to show videos and then just talk about it. So let's show a little clip we got here. Just a maniacal aggression from this guy. Number 10.
my zone. I'm in my zone. I'm vibing and drinking 'cause I'm in my zone. Vibing, vibing.
Go ahead, run them down, Coach. Run them down.
I'm in my zone. Oh, I'm just vibing.
So, Coach, I mean, so you brought that, you had such an aggression and such a knack for the game, and so just tell me when you get to Florida A&M, as a freshman, just go into detail. I mean, what you saw as a freshman, the learning curve, learning to the speed of the game, and just your overall experience when you first got to FAMU.
Oh man, like all right. So when I first got there, everybody was so much like bigger and stronger than me. I was like, man, I'm never going to play. I was like, I swear on everything. I thought I was never going to touch the field. I was fortunate enough to find my way in the rotation first game. Got a lot of quality reps, and then I was starting by the fourth game. But I honestly didn't think I was ever going to touch the field. But I will say, like, my dad raised me to be extremely competitive, and because of that competitive streak, like. I would say the more fearful I am of failure, the harder I try. Right. Which is most people when they are afraid of failure, they're shut down. But I think I try harder when the task is bigger. So I ended up, finding my way on the field and of course having a pretty decent career at FAMU. But honestly, to tell you the truth, I think I just played. Excuse my language. I just played pissed off. And a lot of people like they know I play with a lot of aggression, but to tell you the truth, the one thing that people don't know, I was so mad all the time at that point, just because of everything I had gone through, and you know, just everything. To tell you the truth, I played football with no care. Like everybody's like, oh, what if you break your neck? What if you break somebody else's neck? What if you? I really did not care. And that's the way I played the game. That's why I think I was able to play undersized because size really didn't matter to me. Nothing mattered to me on the football field. To tell you the truth, like it was. But my dad told me that's how you play the game. You play the game with no fear, with the expectations of causing great bodily harm to yourself. Not that you play to cause bodily harm to yourself, but you have to expect it. And so that's how I played it. And it got me a lot of places in life that I probably wouldn't have gotten without it. So I'm very grateful for the sport. But that's one thing I would tell people, especially defensive guys, man. I right now the game is that where yes, it is designed to protect us long-term health, but the game is not to be played by the weak or the faint of heart. And if you're playing it for your parents, if I'm just being honest, if you're a linebacker and you're a defensive end, you're a safety, defensive tackle. If you're playing it for the, that's my baby, that's the wrong play. That's the wrong reason to play it. If you're on the offensive side of the ball and you're playing it for that's my baby, all those things like that, and you aren't expecting to at some point have some great deal of harm on your body, or you don't plan on impose your will on somebody else, football is not the sport for you. You can be immensely talented, you can be immensely gifted, but if you don't have the discipline and perseverance to go through those hard times, and actually, it's kind of like you getting stuck. Like one thing I always pride myself in is like I'm going to be the toughest, meanest SOB on this field, and I know that I knew it, honestly, I knew I'd die on that field if I had to. So most people don't want to play like that, and I did because my dad died, and every time I played, I thought about that. So I'm like, I die out here before I let somebody take advantage of me, and that's what got me through. And I think that's what actually led me to the success I had in football.
So as you was approaching the end of your career, as far as at FAMU, the next natural thing is, try to prepare for, football professionally, rather it's Canadian or in the NFL. So what was your mindset then, as you were trying to prepare to hopefully play football at the next level?
By that time, I had so many injuries. Like I said, the way I played the game was with no regard for my body. I had fractured wrists, torn biceps, torn ACLs. It was a lot of things I tore up in my body. I think that of course hurt my stop. Went into my senior year with a 7th round / free agent grade, and that didn't kind of happen. So I ended up playing 2 years of arena football, And then got to like my second year, got cut from the team. By the way, running football, I hate it. As a linebacker, that sideline to sideline plays with speed and explosiveness. Arena football, the field was so compact and small and short. Like you by the time I got to full speed, the play was over. You know what I mean? So it just wasn't my brand of football. And I had a workout with, I think I had a private workout with the Hamilton Tiger Cats or something like that. It was either Hamilton or I can't remember, but they were doing like different workouts and stuff. And then they have like the invite only workouts before the open workouts because they have combines.
Right.
And then either before or after they'll do the people that they like specifically target. And I had one set up, but by that time I had already gotten into like, I was coaching and I was the assistant track coach, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was kind of holding on to my youth at that point, and then at the same time, I was like, if I go play Canadian football, like I literally said, hey, if I go play Canadian football, I have to put together a campaign that's great over the next 2 years that shows I can dominate a higher brand of football, and then try to go to the NFL. And at that time, I play linebacker. Linebackers' careers aren't like that. So you can't play 2 years in arena football, then think that you're going to go play 2 years of CFL football and think that you're going to get to the NFL. That's not realistic at linebacker. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and start teaching. So I went ahead and I started teaching. And, that was the best decision of my life. And really what led to that decision was we had a track meet the same day as my workout. And I had to decide whether I was going to go coach or whether I was going to go work out. And I wanted to go coach. And that's because ultimately that's what my life goal always was a coach. My dad never taught me that NFL was the end game. I always wanted to be a coach. I always wanted to be like him. So that was my decision.
So you got into coaching. So that's a great segue. So you got into coaching. So what stops did you have in the coaching? We all know that you went to going to coach at Florida High, then you wound up becoming an AD and things of that nature. But so what really jump started your coaching, and then what led to becoming the AD?
All right. So while I was at FAMU, I was volunteering. Like this is one thing that a lot of like kids don't realize in college. When you take volunteer opportunities, you're trying to build your resume.
Right.
So I was volunteering in the spring with Coach Mike Hickman. No, actually, yeah, it was Mike Hickman. And Coach Hickman, Jared Hickman, I think he had taken over shortly afterwards. So volunteering in the spring, just helping him coach. And I was actually volunteering with Brandon Jenkins, who ended up being a college All-American at FSU. He was one of my first players that I coached. And we developed a great bond, but then at the same time, I was able to really like start to build my coaching resume. Shortly after that, I started. I didn't start. I was offered a job with Coach Rudy Hubbard at Rickards. I did a spring with Coach Hubbard at Rickards, and that was actually my first outside of Florida High, my first coaching job. But then I ended up coaching at Florida High. The next year, I was offered a job at NIMS. But I turned that down because Florida High came in at the last minute, offered me a full-time coaching, teaching and coaching position. So in 2011, I took over as the head track and field coach and assistant football coach, coaching the defensive line, specifically the edge guys, the edge rushers, which was really, I can't say defensive line, edge with defensive ends and linebackers. Coach Holly was doing the middle linebackers. I was doing the edge guys, and that kind of springboarded my actual paid coaching career. And I'm saying paid because let's use that term paid loosely.
Very
because
loosely.
The stipend was like I think my stipend for the year was $1,500.
Right.
So, but I was teaching and then I was coaching track. So I was enjoying it. Loved it a lot. And then it kind of I actually had more success in track starting off as the head track coach. Got track coach of the year by 2014. I think 2013 may have been like girls track coach of the year. 2014 boys track coach of the year, and I got it one other time. And then so I was 3-time track coach of the year. By 2000, what year? 2015. Yeah, 2015. I took over the cross country program as well. And we went to state 3 years in a row. That was the first time in over a decade that we have been to state. We went to state 3 years in a row. And that was the first time that had happened at Florida High cross country. And I was cross country coach of the year once. So I just kind of really embraced being a coach and doing a lot. And I was actually running an elementary track club, Tallahassee Striders. So I was doing a lot, and then eventually the school principals approached me, and Dr. Chambers, which is the director, they saw something in me in terms of my leadership skills and my ability to build. They saw something in me, and they offered me the AD position. And so then I took the AD position in 2017. Stayed in that position until 2020, where then they then offered me the director of development and community events, where I was doing like a lot, like just helping with the brand of the school, fundraising, just creativity, the build of High, and I think we were pretty successful in building the brand of High to what it is today. I think just using what Florida High already had, the vision that Coach Mike Hickman started as the AD, to Coach Maurice Adams as the AD, and then eventually to me. And so we just kind of built on that. And then, of course, all the principles that kind of poured into me beforehand. So I just thank the Florida High community for allowing me to be the best AD that I could be at that time. And then, of course, help that helped as well. It's so many people that kind of poured into me. Hugh Tomlinson, the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I did my internship underneath him. He was also working as an executive member of the FSU Boosters Incorporated. So I learned a lot about fundraising through him. I learned a lot about capital campaigns and development through Tanja Ward of the Ward Family Foundation. I just learned a lot on those years that allowed me to then take all those skill sets that had nothing to do with football and then poured it at Leon. So that's what we did.
There goes another segue. So let's go into the big decision. Let's talk about your decision and what led to that decision and becoming the head football coach at Leon High School.
Oh man, so it's a multitude of different reasons. So the first thing is I've always looked at Leon and said I think I can win there. Because Leon's a very hard place to win. I honestly felt like I could win there. Secondly, I knew that Leon was a very diverse population, and I felt like I could, I embodied that diversity in who I am. Being an African American, being, when we moved up here, staying on the South Side, to then also, I have an eclectic background. I've been raised in so many different socioeconomic statuses. Honestly, to tell you, I'm probably the only person that actually had the opportunity to live in the house in New Smyrna, and then at the same time, spent time. It depends on how you want to say it. I spent a lot of time in Gifford, lived in Gifford, Florida. If you're not familiar with Gifford, you kind of got to do your research on that. And those are two polar opposites. And I think Leon just kind of embodies that diversity that I've been through my whole life. So that the school was fitting for me. In being able to relate to all the different student demographics there. And I felt like it was, I'm familiar with Leon's history and their tradition of winning from the 90s, 80s, and 70s. Of course, when Coach Cox and Coach Sauls were there, and just everything that Leon was in the past. And I felt like I could build that up. And, I know I was on the way to really doing that. And I just felt like I could do something that many people thought couldn't be done.
So let's go. So that first year, tough year. Sometimes it just takes a while to set the culture that you want to set at a new program. But the first year you go 1-9. But what was the mentality of going into that second year as far as, like, did you start to have doubt if you can do it, or you just know that this was all part of the process? What was the things that I know what it was, but I want you to tell everyone out there, what was your mentality and what was you wanting to preach to the team, from coming from a 1-9 season going into that following season?
Yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, the first year wasn't that tough, honestly. I knew what we had. I knew that we just really hadn't created a winning culture yet. Not that it was that tough. It just takes time. And so when you're building anything, it takes time. I felt like the second year actually came a year early. I felt like that year was going to be year 3. And I felt like even the second year, I felt like we should have finished 8-2. It was 2 games that I felt like I just didn't do a great job at, for one reason or another. I felt like the Childs game was one that we just kind of in schematics and our philosophy for that game, we put our eggs in people that, not that they failed us, but they were just unable to finish the game at that time, and then a lot of them went out the first 2 drives.
Yeah.
So that drastically changed our philosophy for the game that we weren't prepared for. So I think that was more so my fault as the leader and the head man in charge, not having a game plan that was concrete, regardless of the personnel. And I know that sounds crazy because Jimmy's and Joe's win it, not your X's and O's all the time, but just being prepared for setbacks. So I wore that one. And then I think the Crestview game was one that we let get away from us because we were coming. We were still mentally learning how to win, honestly. And the players hadn't experienced that type of success. And I think the Crestview game, as you know, that was a game that I think we were like 14 or 21 point favorites, and we let that one go. And honestly, that's a product of just not knowing how to win more so than anything. We had a lot of confusion on the field, guys that weren't bought in. So you really, to tell you the truth, year 2 was more disappointing than year 1 for me, because year 2 I was expecting, especially when we hit that halfway mark, I was looking like, okay, we should be able to finish 8-2, and we didn't. We finished 6-4, and I felt like we left a lot out there. I know nobody else is gonna say that, but I felt like we left a lot out there. And I felt like I could have done better as a coach. I know for a fact it was some weeks that I could have been more mentally prepared and more locked in, but it was draining at the same time. Year 1 was easier because we were able to establish our philosophy and our scheme, and not our schemes, because our schemes were still kind of changing every week, trying to figure out what was best for us. But our philosophy on work and toughness and grit was established in year 1. That carried over to year 2. So year 2 was actually more disappointing for me than year 1.
Yeah, Coach, I still think about that Crestview. Sometimes I'll just be sitting somewhere and I'm like, what the hell happened at Crestview?
Man,
I still scratch my head on that one.
I know exactly what I'm gonna say.
Y'all still brought my alma mater back, man. Y'all still brought my alma mater back, man.
Yeah, Justin is a Leon alumni.
Yeah.
So he still tell me to this day, like, man, I don't know how you guys turn that joke around, but bravo.
Yeah, for real.
I think it's belief, man. Like, I don't think people really realize how much belief goes into it, man. Like, if you believe, like, anything is possible after that, because your actions will then follow. So,
Right.
like I honestly always believed that we could win, and honestly, to tell you the truth, I felt like this year, and I hate that I felt like my time was up there, but I felt like this year was actually going to be the year where people were like, "Oh wow." I thought last year was an eye-opening, but I felt like this year was going to be the year, honestly, that really established us as a state powerhouse and a team that was really serious. But things have to change, and I had to change.
I kept up with Leon all season. That second season, I was watching everything. I was like, we're 5-0. We're 5-0. So I was excited for it, but like you said, things do have to change, and it's understandable.
Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah,
Y'all still some of the best coaches Leon's ever had. That's all I'm gonna say.
I appreciate that.
Sorry.
So, Coach, now, I mean, now we're kind of in the current time, as far as you not only moving on to FAMU, but also you spearheading, like we said at the beginning, you talking about that supplement that you had that year you was coaching at Florida High and or what lack thereof, and now you're spearheading the campaign for higher coaches salary in Florida with the coaches coalition. So go a little bit into that, and what's the movement, what's going on with the movement as far as what you guys are trying to accomplish as far as that goes.
Yeah, so of course, many people know about the plight of coaches in the state of Florida, especially when you start looking at the cost of living in the state of Florida. We stay in a state that's not exactly cheap to live in, and quite honestly, it's not just coaches' pay; it's coaches' rights, because that's a big, to me, it violates a lot of things that we look at. And I'm not a lawyer, but when you start talking about antitrust laws and minimum wage and all those things like that, like they're getting by calling it a stipend, right? And right now there are a lot of different issues that kind of hinder adequate compensation for coaches, and I don't want to get into that too much because then it becomes a war per se, of opposing sides, and I'm not trying to create a war of opposing sides. I just want the issue to be fixed. But coaches get paid far less than minimum wage. I mean, we're talking about less than $1 for our hours worked throughout the year. Some counties, I will say, Leon County does do the best they can for high school head football coaches in terms of the summer pay, spring supplement, and so on and so forth. But that does not extend down to the assistant coaches. And as well as I know, if you're going to have a great program, you have great assistant coaches. It's not just the head.
Right.
So like everybody looks at, oh yeah, what did Tyrone McGriff do at Leon? But it wasn't what I did at Leon. It's what you, Coach Baker, Coach Grimes, myself, Coach McGrew, Coach Jones, Coach Colbrith, Coach Hook, and so many others that were in that Coach KP. I mean, there was so many others in those rooms every day. And I mean, like, y'all know, like, especially like y'all know me, I really don't care how long the meeting goes. Like, that.
Yes, sir.
So it's it's more than just the head coach, and I don't think coaches are compensated fairly. And so you have a discussion of compensation, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like we fight for like student retention, dropping decreasing dropout rates, and we're throwing money at all these other programs, these silver programs, to do this. But you know what the number one deterring program is for dropout? Sports.
Yeah.
Sports. But we're throwing money at everything else. We're throwing money at, and kudos to all the community activists, because there's a place for everybody in communities. However, coaches are leading the fight. Like, coaches are literally leading the fight in terms of stopping gang violence, stopping I mean, even teenage pregnancy, having conversations with our players. You got football coaches that have 150 guys in their program, and we're having real concrete conversations about character education, about life skills, and all those things. We did our Pride series, where we had community activists coming in, we had community speakers, we had lawyers, we had the mayor come in, we had so many different people coming in and pouring into it. But people are forgetting that we need to be compensated. Like, we have, a coach should never have to choose on whether we're going to support our family or go support everybody else's family. I should be able to support my family and support somebody else's family. I shouldn't have to not see my kids wake up and not see them go to sleep every day so I can go coach somebody else. Like that's not, and then only make a $4,000 stipend while doing that. That doesn't make sense. You want to ask anybody, you want to ask a Taco Bell worker to do that. So I do get passionate when you start really thinking about what the state of Florida has asked coaches to do. And then we can get into the supervision, right? Where coaches are expected to break up fights. Coaches are expected to literally be in the locker room while kids are changing. You don't expect teachers to be in the restroom while kids are changing. When kids get in fights in the classroom, you don't then turn around and say it's the teacher's fault that they got in the fight. Coaches are being placed on administrative leave for the actions of kids, where principals, teachers, and anybody else, even that same coach, would not be placed on leave if it happens within, the hours of the school day. Once it's
Mhm.
after school, you're held responsible, and nobody else is held responsible over actions that you cannot control. That's a rights issue. Like we can't even punish appropriately, and you can't dismiss without adequate documentation to say that, hey, I've given them chances. We follow the school policies and procedures. We follow, and so it's so many things that go into it. And I'm not speaking just firsthand experience. I'm talking about coaches all over the state are dealing with this,
Right.
right? That's the issue, where they're dumping the responsibility off on somebody. And the reason why that is because, and this is where I don't want to get into the whose fault is it or anything like that, but teachers have the teachers union. The
Mhm.
teachers unions are not really occupied by coaches because a lot of coaches are not teachers now, right? So
Right.
in order for you to join the teachers union, you would then have to give up pretty much your entire stipend to join that union because you don't make enough. So you cannot have a union fee that exceeds what your pay is, and then they encourage you to join it for representation, and you're not even, like, I'm talking about the coaches that are off campus, right? So you have a lot of issues there that I don't think people really know exist. I don't think people are aware of how coaches are compensated. I don't think people are aware how schools are funded. And like, even from the standpoint of like how many coaches, I'm not gonna say any name, but yeah, I am gonna say this name. All right, Coach Ellington at Gaston.
Yep.
There are a lot of kids at Gaston right now because of him.
Right.
All right. By hook or by crook, it doesn't matter. They're there. That's FTE. All right. That's how. So think about all the money that has left Leon County schools, going across the border to go to Gaston County schools because of that coach.
Right.
So that means that his value, I'm talking about before we even talk about the character development, before you talk about wins and losses, before you talk about anything, on the first day of school, his value already far exceeds his stipend,
Yeah.
right? So if one kid comes to the school because of, the coach, that's already exceeding the value. But I'm talking about, you have 20 and 30 kids transferring into schools because of the coach.
Yep.
And people are ignoring that. That's a FTE value that the coach brings. Now, I will tell you this: I've never heard of a math teacher leaving one school and going to another, and 30 kids following them to the
Never.
school. It happened before.
Never.
Now, that doesn't discredit what math teachers do. I'm not doing that at all. But what I'm telling you is there's a value to having profound leadership in your extracurricular activities. That's in band, that's in football, that's in all of them. So yes, this is an issue within sports, but I'd be remiss to say that this doesn't happen in other extracurricular activities. I'm just advocating for our coaches. I'm advocating for our track coaches. I'm advocating for our golf coaches. I'm advocating for all these coaches that are not being compensated appropriately. Now, this is the other thing. How can you get valuable professional coaches when I cannot coach and make more training the kid in 1 month than I will a whole year?
Right.
Right? Or I can go coach a club and make more in 1 month than you can pay me in the entire year. Right? So we have to attract the professionals back into the profession. There's another fact that's out there, that teacher retention is very low. And one thing that people don't want to acknowledge is teacher retention is low because people are getting temporary certifications, teacher certifications. And once that temporary certification is up, both in coaching and in teaching, they're finding a different profession. So we have to address all these issues and bring in professionals back into education. And that's in teaching and in coaching. And I think it starts with compensation.
So it's interesting that you say that. I remember you know, everybody knows Uncle Luke Campbell. He had made a post on Twitter, well, X now, and he showed his coaching stipend because, you know, he's the head man at Miami Edison, and the coaching stipend for being a head coach was like $1,200. And I'm like, I'm baffled, just the lack of just showing appreciation for, you know, not just because he's a head coach in South Florida, but just a head coach in general, because people just don't realize that it's not about the X's and O's with a coach. We got to be mentors. We got to be father figures. We got to be, there's so many things that go into it outside of, you know, coaching football. I just feel like it's a sad state when it comes to that. A coach have to make a decision. Does he want to coach, or does he want to make, you know, do the other things? And it's just sad.
Yeah, it is extremely sad. We do. I mean, it's throwing me off. I got like ADHD or something. But
let's see if we can fix it.
But it's extremely sad because we shouldn't have to make those choices. Some of the leaders, like our whole life, people in my life. Like honestly, I can't remember half the teachers' names. I can remember all the coaches' names. Right? Up in school one day, 10th grade, down south. Right? Coach Wilson, first of all, Coach Wilson, it's disrespectful for me just to call him a coach because he's more than a coach to me. So I don't.
Right.
So like, I mean, he was literally like a father figure. He was like my dad's father figure. My dad passed away. My dad's dad passed away. He ended up being the same for me. So one day,
right,
I was feeling under the weather, right, and I was like, you know, I'm sick. I ain't sick. Like I'm just really don't feel good. I'm not going to. My mom, of course, she has to go to work, and like she wasn't really like, she couldn't really like put her thumb down to make sure I got to school or to check. She said, "Hey, you're sick. Okay, you gotta stay home." I went to school on the other side of the county. She told me to stay home. I would say about like 9:30. I hear, "Well, I know you in there. Get your sorry behind up." Right? And Coach Wilson came to get me, like out the bed, get up, get dressed, get your behind in school, and I did. And that's what coaches do, and nobody wants to acknowledge that. Like it's so many kids that will fall by the wayside if it weren't for coaches. I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for my coaches. I mean, I had a coach put me in creative writing in 9th grade, right? No, sorry, 10th grade. He put me in creative writing, like. My first assignment was a 10-page paper in creative writing in 10th grade, right? MLA format. Man, I'm sitting there. First of all, like, you know, they tell you that, but you still think you're going to finesse the paper, right? So I I take the font up like a size or 2. You know what I mean? Of course, it's already double space, but then I like quadruple space in between paragraphs. I do everything formatically like just wrong. Like just it was just wrong.
And there's no chat GPT back in them days.
Yeah, there's no chat.
There's no AI.
No, wasn't no AI.
No Grammarly.
We were still on those you know, when you dial in and you get
that dial up.
Yeah, man, that AOL. So man, yeah, so like I had to write. And he told me, I was like, what? I did not put that on my list of electives. Like that was not on there. So I'm trying to figure out how I get in this class. So I go to football practice that day, and he looks at me, and like you can tell, it was like he had that look in his eye, like I got you. And he goes, "You like all your classes?" I was like, "Yeah, they straight." Now remind you, he's my creative writing teacher. All right. He says, "What'd you think of my class?" I said, "It was all right." He said, "You trying to figure out how you got in there?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I changed your course selection." And I look at him and I'm like, "Why'd you do that?" And he was like, "Because you're going to need to learn how to write." He said, "You're going to write the rest of your life." He said, "So that's why I did that." And me being who I am, I'm not, you don't understand. As a player, if my coach would have told me, I don't know if you remember that scene from Making the Band, the go get him a cheesecake in the Bronx, I would have jawed to go get my coach a cheesecake, and not even being upset about it. Like
Right.
that's if my coach told me to do something, like I was gonna do it. So when he told me he did it, I was like, oh, okay, you know. And I'm glad he did, man, because that's what coaches do. They look out for us. They look out for the kids. And if you're not coaching for that reason, and you're coaching for championships, and you're coaching for the wrong reason.
Yes. So I meant to ask you, whenever we was talking back in your days in college, you know the current state of college football with NIL and everything like that. What would you have done with your NIL money?
I honestly, I wouldn't have done any good with it, man. Like I mean, you gotta remember, like, yeah, the kids have NIL now, but like, you know, I was getting a pretty decent amount of like at that time we had net check, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we called our FAMU. I was getting a pretty decent amount back in my scholarship money and all this stuff, and in my stipend money and all that stuff. I was getting a decent amount back. I never did anything good with it. Everything, man, I went in about 212s after after I got my net check and I paid my rent for the year, man. I wasn't doing anything wise with it. And I think that also alludes to the fact that these kids don't know what to do with this much money. I mean, quite honestly, like they don't know how to read contracts. They don't know how to. They don't have any financial literacy to be bestowed this amount of money without any formal education.
Right.
And people are going to just take advantage of them, and then we're going to be upset that people are taking advantage of them. Even now, to tell you the truth, NIL is not NIL; it's a pay-to-play system. Name, image, and likeness means that you're helping me expand my brand, and you're going to be like I'm going to be compensated for who I am, right? But name, image, and likeness is really, I'm going to sell you my brand. You're going to pay me for my brand, and I'll come play for you. Nobody really cares about what they do with your name, image, and likeness after that. So I think that's a big problem, because we need name, image, and likeness education, so kids and athletes know how they can leverage it, and can actually leverage it themselves. And I also believe that their name, image, and likeness is also attached to their university. So let's say, for example, let's take back in the day, Cam Newton. Cam Newton transferred from UF to Blinn Junior College. Right. Cam Newton was still Cam Newton. But when Cam Newton left UF, nobody kept up with him. Nobody knew where he was until he got back to Auburn. Right. And so when he came back on the scene at Auburn, then everybody knew where he went. But for the fact of the matter is, his name, image, and likeness was associated with the universities that he was at. He was still Cam Newton when he went to Blinn. The fact of the matter is that Blinn didn't have any prowess financially to pay him as much as he may have liked to be paid. Now, that's if name, image, and likeness existed back then, but it didn't, even though I'm pretty sure he got some type of compensation. But name, image, and likeness is a lot of times associated with the schools that you are at and with their financial prowess. Can they pay you, right? And if you end up, for some reason, not being able to go to that school, right, because your compensation for your name, image, and likeness is not coming outside of that collective or outside that stakeholder base from that's associated with that school, right? So if I can't make money outside of that school, is that really name, image, and likeness? Now, hear me out. If I cannot make money outside of the supporters of that school, how much am I worth?
And goes as far as the school, as far as what you're worth.
But then, so my question is it my name, image, and likeness, or is it my name, image, and likeness associated with this brand? Because there's only a small select few athletes that do not have to sign with the collective and still make hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And we know those athletes, right?
Yeah. Right.
Your Arch Mannings, your Travis Hunters, your Shadur Sanders, like they
Mhm.
don't have to make that money connected to Texas or Colorado. And then
Right.
there's some other ones that don't need that fan base to make that money.
Right.
So even if Travis, when Travis Hunter was at Jackson State, right, he made that money. When Dion left Jackson State, we know that a lot of the money left with Dion. He brought in a great deal of support because Dion was the name, image, and likeness. All right. And that's what we have to acknowledge. Some people can transcend program, and some people are just a part of the program. So which one are you? And I'm not saying that athletes shouldn't be compensated, but I think we need to put some perspective on that when they are demanding so much money for them to come play. And especially now, some of them aren't even panning out to be worth 2 cents.
Right.
So they could be costing the university more so than bringing the university money, right? So, we have to really kind of think about our narrative on name, image, and likeness. But I think we got here because the NCAA and colleges didn't want athletes to make any money, and that was the issue. The issue was that they didn't want to, and they should have allowed them to make money. However, where it's at now, and I think it was more so the perfect storm, where name, image, and likeness came at the same time as the transfer portal. And that's the issue. It came at the same time as the transfer portal. If they were scaffolded a little bit different, and if the transfer portal came, and then name, image, and likeness came maybe a decade later, or name, image, and likeness came, and then the transfer portal came, it may have been balanced out a little bit better. But because of the time frame that they both came at the same time, we got what we got. It's not good nor bad, but we just have to think about how we compensate these players.
So, with that being said about NIL, how do you feel about the current state of college football, as where it's at right now?
College football is always going to change. Like I love football, and so last I checked, if you cross the end zone, it's 6 points with the ball.
Yes.
If you kick the extra point, it's a point. If you kick a field goal, it's 3. And you can get a 2-point conversion. And so the game hasn't really changed that much. Just the business side has, and so let's not make the business side of the game about the game, because those two aren't the same. That's like saying, I'll give you this perspective, right? In the state of Florida, we all love Publix, right?
Right.
All right. So in I think it was 2016 or 2020, people said, "Oh, Publix donate this many $1 million to the Donald Trump campaign," right?
Right. I remember that.
People find that out, right? And they're like, "Boycott Publix," and everybody was like, "I don't know about that." Hey, we talking about Publix.
Hey, listen, now them subs. Look, I don't know if I'm ready to look them subs now.
Okay, so with that being said, Publix is still Publix, right? What the financial side of it is a completely different conversation. Football's still football. What happens on the back end on the financial side of it, that's something different.
I like it. So, do you have an NFL team? Favorite NFL team? Favorite guys to watch out right now?
Steelers,
huh? Green curtain. I mean, the steel curtain. Franco Harris.
Yeah.
Terry
We're Steelers fan. Like, so this is how embedded that's a different culture. So when I was coming out, Dan Rooney Jr. Came down to my program, knew me like the back of my hand. Of course, did his research, but also it wasn't a lot of research that he didn't already know, because my dad played for him, and at the pro day we were talking all this stuff.
So
like
he's part of Art. So what? He's Art Rooney's son,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. Okay. I said Dan. I think it was. So anyway, that's a family business, and it's a family culture out there, and I like the Steelers, man. And when I was coming out, I actually made a phone call personally to the GM, right, at that time. And he called me back. He's like, yeah, man, I saw the name, and I was like, oh, whoa, that's dope. All right. And so because of that, I'm still my whole house is still all day.
Oh man. So as far as in the NFL, is it what particular players that you like, or okay, so that echo again. But is there any players that you would like that you just love the way they play the game that just really stick out to you?
That's a great question. Right now, what's my man's first name? Last name Queen.
Patrick Queen.
Yeah, Patrick Queen. I just got traded from Baltimore to Pittsburgh. Of course, I love the way he plays the game. Both the Bosa boys. Love the way they play. Trying to think. I mean, of course, I'm always more defensive minded.
Right.
I think Christian McCaffrey is pretty good. Of course, he's diverse, well rounded. You gotta love. Oh my gosh, my man, Pompano. Oh my gosh, Boynton Beach. Yeah. Oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Baltimore Ravens. I'm calling out everything about him, but the school but his name. Go all the way back to where he played high school football at and where he's actually born, but can't even think of his name right now. What quarterback? Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, you talking about Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. I went blank. Lamar Jackson. Gotta love the way he plays the ball. Patrick plays ball. Patrick Mahomes. Gotta love it. Gotta love the way Henry runs the ball, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Derrick Henry. I mean, he's the new prototype that would never be repeated. I mean, I don't even know if you can call him a prototype because, you're not going to find that body type again anytime soon at running back with that type of speed. I don't know if you saw him pull off from everybody last week. Like you haven't seen that size with that type of speed ever. Right. Where it is, man, you got to make a business decision playing against him, but he runs it like a real running back. He runs the ball with a great deal of skill. He's not just a power back. He's a skilled back. So yeah.
I think the closest one was and I think he's bigger than Eddie George, but that's the only running back I can think of that at that size.
Yeah, Eddie George. I think Eddie George was right around like 230. Maybe 225, 230. I don't think Eddie George was up around the 255, 260 range. That's different. That's
a lot of men.
Yeah, man. That's a lot of girth coming at you, man. Like you gotta make some decisions, man.
Personal decisions.
Yeah, you gotta make some business decisions there, man. Especially at the DB at the third level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And them DBs, they trying to, that's why they outlaw the hip drop, because them DBs, they want to come to the side and they want to pull and drop their weight and their hip on to the, that's why they changed that rule for that same reason.
Yeah, I hate that tackle. I hate that tackle anyway, man.
Yeah.
I hate that tackle. And let me tell you, so I gotta tell you this story. So I don't know if you can see it. All right, yep. Right. You see that scar?
Yeah, I see it.
All right. So I got that my sophomore year in high school. All right. We were playing satellite. Satellite's not like a great doggone football program. But we were playing satellite. Like we had a running back, and he was really good. Satellite is down in Brevard County.
Okay.
But the running back was pretty good. Short, squatty. And he had just a low center of gravity. And I've been the same height since my sophomore year, and I was playing safety then. So it was just he was getting up underneath everybody. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut him. I'm not somebody gonna cut you, man. I ain't cutting nobody. I'm about to hit you in your mouth every play. I don't know why I said I was gonna cut him. And I went up and cut him, and I just barely made the tackle, and he literally just tripped over me. He wasn't at the fact that it was a great cut because I don't cut people. And when he stepped on my hand, his cleat went through my hand.
Ooh.
And left that scar. And I think that was my reminder of like never do that again. I'm not gonna say the word that but you know, that's a reminder of don't be soft about it. Like you better go make a tackle. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I never did that again after that. And I was like, I'd rather just get ran over. I ain't about to be cutting people out here, man.
Well, Coach, man, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you so much for coming on to the run and chatting up with us and everything like that. And you know, before we let you go, I just want you to let everybody know, you know, what you have going on, what projects that you may have going on, what's going on as far as, you know, we only have a few months left in 2024. What's going on for FAMU in the future? Just give everybody some 411 about everything for you before we let you go.
And I appreciate that. So first of all, the Florida Coaches Coalition, I am looking in the process. I've been courting a couple potential sponsors. I'm looking at hosting a bowl game for two local area teams that you know, last year we missed the playoffs, and so I would like to host a bowl game to give those seniors another opportunity to play. So I'm in the process of, I just actually finished Andrew Ramjot, who is our director, Ramjit, sorry, is our director. We just finalized our bowl sponsorship package. So we're going to look to find a sponsor to host a bowl game to give two teams, seniors, another opportunity to play one last time. So hopefully I can secure that sponsorship within the next week and then get some advertisement on that game. So look out for that. And then in FAMU, health, physics education, recreation, and our overall education, school education at FAMU. If you are interested in being a teacher, you're interested in being a coach. I know we're talking about the coaches pay in Florida, but one thing I do want to remind everybody is coaching still gives us opportunity, especially if you're in phys ed and you can get a teaching job, gives us opportunity to make an adequate living when you are a teacher. And at the same time, you going and getting an education in physical education, you can take that teacher certification and that degree across the state lines to Georgia. You can take it to Alabama. You can take it to Mississippi. You can go a lot of places. Once you get that degree in education and you pass your certifications, the Florida Department of Education's teacher certification examination is you know, credited in other states. So we talk about Georgia pay. There is no better window than to come to Florida A&M, get an education from yours truly. And I
Right.
teach you how to coach, right? Teach you the process. And then if you don't want to stay in the state of Florida, you can go to Georgia. And Florida A&M has some great partnerships with uh, Georgia school districts, and we do a great job of placing our teachers in Georgia. So if you're a coach and you aspire to make six figures and you're trying to figure out, or if you aspire to be a coach and you're trying to figure out what you want to do, come to FAMU, get your teaching certificate, get it in physical education, and go across the board, the state lines, if that's what you wish to do. If you want to stay in the state of Florida, of course, you know, there are plenty of school districts and schools here in the state of Florida that would take you. But the first thing is getting educated. If you know, we can't talk about compensation and fair compensation with uneducated coaches. So get educated, come be a part of this program. Our dean, Dr. Price, is wonderful. We have some of the best educators in the United States that will be teaching you. We actually look forward to opening our doors to so many new teachers. So don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll be waiting for you.
Hey, well, Coach, man, I appreciate you so much for coming in and chopping it up with me one more time again for the home team. And I appreciate everything you do, brother. Keep on keeping on, man. And anytime you want to stop by the show, by all means, come through, man. We'd love to have you.
Oh man, thank you for having me once again. Thank you, Coach Kilby. Thank you, Justin. Big shout out, Coach Griffin, Sean Griffin on his newborn. Hopefully, they're entering this world soon. I do want to give a shout out to Coach Rochelle. I know he's experienced some loss here shortly. Not long ago. I'm sorry. He's experienced some loss here, and Coach Rochelle is a great friend, just overall great person. So I do want to give him a shout out. And I'm sorry he couldn't be on tonight. But you know, I love all you guys, man, and y'all are always got a place with me, man.
Coach, I appreciate you, man. And like I said, don't be a stranger. Anytime you want to drop by the show, come by. And hey, we're gonna be watching, man. We rooting for you.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Coach Tyrone McGriff. FAMU, Tyrone McGriff. Coach McGriff, we appreciate you, man. All right. Well, so I know y'all ready for tomorrow, right? Because we're not done yet. We still got one more thing. We got one more line of business. So we got Lincoln quarterback, Mr. Joystick, Mr. Right Stick, Left Stick, Circle Button, Shift Stick, Juke Stick, whatever you want to call them. Kristen Sims Jr., he's going to be joining the show tomorrow in our season premiere of the Victory Road series. And guess what? We're starting a new tradition here at The Run. So if you're going to be on the Run Victory Road series and you're an athlete, you got to shoot me, shoot Justin, shoot Sean, shoot Coach Rogel. Y'all got to shoot us that fade in that CFB 25. So either going to be tonight or maybe tomorrow. Please stay tuned. We're going to have the Run CFB 25. It's either going to be me, it's either going to be Justin, it's going to be Sean, it's going to be Lance. It's probably either going to be me or Justin that's going to dust off the CJ. CJ, I hope you're hearing this. I hope you're ready for that smoke. You think you're just going to come on the Run podcast and we're not going to run that fade on that CFB 25? Man, stop. So, hey, y'all stay tuned for that. We got CJ Sims. He's going to be on the Run Victory Road series tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good time. We're going to chop it up about a whole bunch of things. I can't wait for this. I've known CJ since he was in middle school, doing his thing, just, him, cats at Raw. Can't ready to have that. So, in the words of Lance Rochelle, whatever's for you is for you. I'm Mason Kilby. That's Justin Ralston. This is the Run podcast. This is the Run, and we are done. Peace.
It's smoke.